Hello, and welcome to the Under Budget Outdoors podcast, a podcast for new, intermediate, and seasoned hunters across the world. A podcast about experience, gear, knowledge, and more. Whether you hunt with a bow, crossbow, rifle, or shotgun, you can hunt properly and efficiently while being under budget. Just remember, it doesn't take big bucks to kill big bucks. Let's get right into it. Recording.
All right. Hey, welcome back. Episode 10. Brock, myself, and PJ are here, Under Budget Outdoors. We're going to be talking about a basic standard loadout for archery and rifle and shotgun hunting. I only know about deer. I just got a bow in February, so I'm not too, specific on what I would bring up for archery, but I don't think it would differ too much. But yeah, make sure you like, subscribe, check out YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, Facebook. Do we have Instagram yet?
Yeah, we have an Instagram. I haven't posted.
We should just edit that in that. Yeah, we have an Instagram, but I haven't started it yet. Just edit that into every video.
I mean, I started it, right? The placeholder is there. But anyway, well, I'll go first, I guess.
Yeah, tear it up.
Because there's not much. So if let's start out with if I'm going whitetail hunting. Obviously, I have my bow. I normally only bring 3 arrows. I figure if I miss 3 times, I should probably call it a day anyway. And I have, it's not a fanny pack. Just be real on that. But it is a small bag of the same sort.
A chest rig. That's what I call them.
Yeah, we'll call it that. I think it's honestly a mini duffel bag. But in there I have my grunt collar. I had one of them stupid little doe bleat cans, which I just found broken in the garage, so that won't be in my list this year. I have a buck knife in there, and I also have, what else did I have in there this past time? I have like my little phone stand thing, so if I want to record, that's in there. I have a haul line, which is very important, especially if you're not hunting in a stand that you normally hunt in. Have a haul line with you. And then I have like my gloves and my balaclava, as I call it, because I can't pronounce the right word.
Balaclava.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
It's a turtleneck.
It's the face mask thing.
Yeah. Right, whatever you call it.
It looks like a turtleneck.
That's a gator.
Potato, tomato.
Whatever you want to call it. Did I mention a buck knife? Yeah, I keep a knife in there. And then just like little things, like I have a Allen key, a small Allen key set, just in case for some reason like I need to move my sights or anything like that, which you shouldn't do while you're hunting, but if you need to, whatever.
Hey, move that mic a little bit closer. There you go.
Is it cutting out again? I literally cannot figure out why this $400 mic setup doesn't work all the time.
Trying to keep it under budget. My under budget stuff works.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, the fancy rig is the only one that doesn't really work well. But yeah, I mean that's kind of like my bow setup. It's nothing super crazy. Pretty much under budget. I think I had the only other thing I had in there was a strap that goes around the tree to strap to my harness, like where my D hook goes. I keep an extra one in there. Reason being that I did that when I used to hunt in Hagedorn, I had one on the tree and then it either fell off or whatever. So I just kept an extra one of those. If I'm going out pheasant hunting, honestly, the only thing I bring is my game pouch orange vest. That way, if I actually get a bird, I can put it in my back, unlike Nate.
No shit.
Which, you know, I was going to bring up a story about that the other day and I forgot. The first time I went out, I also didn't have a game pouch, but I was wearing a hoodie and Nelson put it in my hood.
I think I saw pictures.
And all there was the feather sticking out of it. But
you got to do what you got to do, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, but for pheasant hunting, obviously just birdshot shells and the game vest and also a thicker pair of jeans. Or if it's cold, wear 2 pairs because then you can walk through the brush without getting briars in your knees. That's really it. Like maybe an extra hat, but I don't really bring a lot out into the field. I'm not super crazy on carrying a lot of extra gear, especially stuff that makes noise.
Dude, I am the complete opposite, dude. I try to.
Yeah, you go ahead.
I don't know if it's just like the military, but I pack so much unnecessary, stupid stuff because in the military, right? You know, you have to have like 2 of everything, right? So gloves. So I haven't gone archery hunting yet, but for rifle hunting in Pennsylvania, obviously you need a gun, right? That's pretty important. I bring extra rounds, but I don't keep them in the gun, right? Because you still have to be compliant with whatever state said about, you know, rounds and all that. So those are in my bag. Most likely kind of like, I don't want to say taped up, but if you just have loose rounds in your bag, they make noise. So make sure they're secure. I bring an extra pair of gloves, right? In case of my gloves, because I hate having cold hands. Dude. There's nothing worse than having cold hands.
There's one thing worse than having cold hands, and that's cold feet.
Right. The cold feet with me, dude, I really, because I'm not taking off my boots when I'm cold, right? So I can kind of suck that up. But yes, cold feet, probably a close number 2, if not number 1. Obviously orange, you know, hat. I bring like an extra hat too in case it gets wet or something like that. Bring a couple bottles of water because like for some reason I'm afraid I'm gonna get lost in the woods, even though it's all public land. So you walk anywhere for like 20 minutes, you're gonna hit some public road. Right. Like I bring like a lighter because when I was up in Maine last year, they were like, hey, you know, bring a lighter because dude, up in Maine, dude, it's the wilderness up there, dude. It's like Jurassic Park era, like kind of scary up in them woods because.
Well, I mean, you kind of have dinosaurs walking around if you think about it with all those moose.
Yeah, dude, and they are like ninjas, like no joke.
How something that big is that quiet is definitely a mystery.
Yeah, right. So I bring like a lighter or some matches, something like that. I bring some pogey bait, something that doesn't make too much, or snacks. You know, something that doesn't have too much of a scent, and you don't hear the crinkling of the wrapper. So like maybe trail mix, I'll put in like a plastic bag or something like that.
I was just going to say a lot of that stuff. The best thing to do is to take it out of its original pack and
put it in a sandwich bag. Yep.
Or something like that. So that way you can grab it out and it's not making that much noise.
Yeah, I forgot to mention snacks. I bring snacks and like a water as well.
And you know, and the snacks are normally gone within like 10 minutes of me being out in the tree stand for you know,
even though you tell yourself the whole way walking out there, I'm not gonna eat anything until 10 o'clock in the morning.
Right. Yeah. And then like you're you're probably in the stand 4:30, 5 o'clock. You're like, wow, you're just bored. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you get bored hungry. Yeah.
You know, because it's pitch black. You hear everything starting to wake up. You don't know if it's deer or a bear trying to eat you. Right.
Yeah,
so
you get to the point where it's like, I'm going to eat, so I'm not scared of what I hear and that I can't see.
Right. Yeah. It's like almost like a comfort type thing. Be like, okay, if I'm eating, then I'm not scared. I'm just fat.
I always tell myself, I'm not going to eat until I get hungry. I'm not going to eat until I get hungry. And then the minute I get hungry, I eat everything. And then I'm like, crap.
Yeah. Then 10 o'clock rolls around. You still have like 6 hours left. You're like,
yep.
Man, I just crushed 3 honey buns, dude. I wish I would have had one left. I bring a rangefinder just because.
I forgot that too. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the right answer, but I get bored when I'm in the tree stand or if I'm sitting on the ground, so I'll start ranging. Like, how far is that leaf? I'll try to play games, be like, all right, I think that leaf was 40 yards, and it's really like 60. So, thank goodness I do have it.
And now we're understanding why Nate's gun was 6 feet from him when that deer came through.
Yep.
For sure. I think that, like a knife, rangefinder, calls, scents, if they're allowed. Probably, I don't know, 4 extra rounds, right? Because just like PJ said, if it takes more than a couple, then you should probably just hang up the hat and try again tomorrow.
Yep.
And extra pair of gloves. Obviously, hunting license, because that's a big no-no if the game warden comes by. And I would say that, like you could buy. I was thinking about buying the, I guess, hand warmer or whatever it's called, where you put like it's around your waist, you put your hands in there, whatever.
Yeah.
I thought about that. Like I'll go on these websites, dude. I'll go on like Amazon, right? And be like, all right, if I had $1 million, like what would I equip myself with? Kind of like a Call of Duty type thing,
Jesus.
But and then I would say for archery, I would bring all of that, probably like 2 or 3 arrows, and replace the arrows with bullets. Still bring some snacks, some water, lighters, something. Because depending on where everyone's at, if you're in Maine and you do get lost, there is no public roads.
Right.
There's one public road that to get into town. And then you're dealing with wilderness. And then some type of strap to drag the deer out, or whatever your ratchet strap, a buck strap, whatever you guys want to call it. I mean, I've seen guys use their belt. Of course, your pants are falling down, but you do what you got to do.
And you can always do what my dad always taught me and make a backpack out of the deer. When you cut that slit in the hind leg, like when you go to hang it up, you put the front hooves through that, and then you wear the deer like a backpack and carry it out.
Oh, no kidding.
It's interesting, but it works.
All right, well,
I'd kind of like to see that.
Well, this year, hopefully we get it done, and we'll have to take a video or something of it.
Well, this year, if I don't get anything out of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or Maine, I think I need to find a new hobby. Because between archery and rifle season, dude, I got to get something. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like the odds are in my favor going to 3 different states.
I thought our odds were in our favor going to Georgia too, but
all right. Well, you're not making me feel any
well,
better.
I mean,
I'm just saying, there's no guarantee.
There was a lot of things out of our control, and we couldn't we were going off of the outfitter's mercy on picking stands and stuff like that. So, also,
can I just say that the guys at work do not let me live down the fact that I let 3 hogs walk.
Any of those guys coming with us?
They brought that up yesterday at Lancaster Archery. There's a hog walking on the screen. They're like, "Don't let it walk. You might want to shoot that one."
And now that you told your story on here, it's all over the interwebs.
Oh yeah,
you're forever famous.
It's fine. I'll get my redemption.
There you go.
And then however you guys want to carry that backpack. Whatever fits, obviously, you're a budget. I didn't buy all this stuff in one shot. This is like 2 years.
Yeah, same. Just collecting and adding
in the
on.
making. And I would probably say your best place to go is like a military surplus store for a lot of like the gloves and the cold weather gear and all that. If you don't want to pay the name brand prices, you got Facebook Marketplace, when hunting season rolls around.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be going to Cabela's or Bass Pro Shop or whatever other big names there are, dropping a couple $100 to hopefully get a deer, because it doesn't take big bucks to kill bucks.
There you go.
And there we go. Hey guys, thanks for coming in. There's the show.
Say goodbye.
But
14 minutes. We're out.
Yeah, I'm sure everything that you carry makes sense because you've been hunting since the early 1900s.
1990s. But I mean, for me, it doesn't really change by the season or by the species. I'm like, the only time that I won't take a backpack with me is if I'm doing squirrel hunting or pheasant hunting, something like that, where I'm doing a lot of walking. I would like, I have a backpack that I was fortunate enough to get from a guy at work. Didn't you have to pay for it? Otherwise, I wouldn't be using a backpack right now. But basically, it's got the camera arm in it for, like PJ said, if I want to record anything. I've been trying to get into that a little bit. Let's see, I have in the front pouch, I normally try to carry an extra pair of socks and pair of gloves just in case my feet do get wet or something like that. I can swap them out real quick, or if I get back to the truck like midday, I can get them changed out so my feet aren't freezing cold the whole time. One thing that I have learned over the years is I have Rocky boots. I have an extra pair of laces just in case, because I have broken a lace before walking through some thick brush and stuff. So I have that, just God forbid that happens, I can just retie my boot real quick. Always have a fresh can of Copenhagen mint in the one pouch.
Yep.
That's the
another thing I forgot. Yep.
The pack that I have, it's got kind of like the waist strap, like a rucksack does for the military. So I always have a can of dip in that one side right there, and then the other side I keep some kind of a rope, usually like a 550 cord or a paracord, something like that, just in case I ever need it for anything. And I got one that has, like, you can use it as just like a whole rope. I can use it for dragging deer if I want, anything like that. But it can also be, it also has the I forget what the hell they call the piece of it, but the little turnbuckle on it that it can be used as a tourniquet if it needs to be.
Okay.
One thing I've learned over the years is having some kind of first aid on you, kind of like we talked last week with Clay. Now he takes a first aid kit with him every time he goes out. That's always like, I'm not taking like a full on EMT bag with me, but just basic little things, if you get caught in a briar or you trip and fall and, you sprain your ankle, whatever the case is, and you're by yourself, you can still get yourself out of the woods and get yourself to help. Let's see. I mean, I have the bino harness that, I got a cheap pair of binoculars from Walmart for like less than $15. It's all that I need. Obviously if I'm going out west doing like mule deer hunts or something, I would probably need to get a new pair just so I can actually use them for longer distances when you're scoping out on the, mountainside or something like that. But for me, hunting thick timber, I don't need anything more than that. I do have a cheap rangefinder. Let's see, in the bag, I usually try to keep some kind of a face guard or neck gaiter, something of that sort, just in case if I ever need it. The one leafy suit that I have, kind of like a ghillie suit, it has the hood that comes up, so if I'm wearing that, I don't really need it, but I usually keep it on me just in case. But I mean, that's really honestly about it. There's really not much that goes into what I have. Like if we're getting into the rut time, I'll take my grunt tube out with me or something like that just in case I need it. I don't really use it that often, but when I do, it's good to have it there. But also when I'm at the farm, depending on where I'm planning on sitting, if I do plan on using one of the ladder stands, I will take an extra ratchet strap with me in my pack just in case I get out there and, hey, strap is broken or it's seized up or rusted out, whatever the case, I can, try to swap it out real quick as I'm getting up the tree so I'm not falling out of the tree halfway through the day.
For sure.
That's smart. And, just to reiterate this is where scouting and pre-planning comes into play, right? Because hopefully your strap doesn't break when you're 15 feet up in the air and you're like, oh, Now you're dangling with a bow, a gun, your bag, and all this other stuff, and you're trying to mess around with a strap, so just try to plan ahead to what you need. And also, don't wait for the day of the hunt to see if all this stuff works, if it makes noise, if it rattles.
Right.
Like I would say at least a couple days. What I do is I put everything on and I either walk around my house, I walk up the stairs, I walk outside, and I see if it works. Now, obviously, I'm not shooting rounds at my house, but if anything makes noise, if anything feels uncomfortable, because, once you're out there, that's kind of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you can throw it in your car, but that's just, if you just take the couple days or couple weeks before going out, what works, what works, what you need, what you don't need, get up in your tree stand or try to, see if everything can fit in the tree stand. Because the first time I was up in the tree stand with Brock, first I tried to have like my bag up there, my gun, I tried to have everything with me, and there's just no room up there, so, I had, I brought up my gun and all that, and tied the tagline to my bag. So if I did need something, I brought my gun up, brought my bag down, just kept it attached. So if I do need something in my bag, I can take my tagline, bring it up, get what I need out of my bag, and then gently lower it down. But
yeah, actually, one thing I forgot that I do keep in my backpack is I have 2 sets of hangers. One is a screw-in, and then I also have another one that is really good to use for public land where you can't like deface trees because you can't use the screw-in ones on a lot of the state lands and stuff. So it's basically like a little strap that goes around, and it has little hooks that you can like spread out on it, and then I can just hang my pack so that way everything's right there. And I have my since I'm a righty shooter, I keep my bow on my left side. So that way, if anything's walking in, I can just grab it and bring it around right there, and it's ready to go with an arrow already knocked on it. And then if I'm gun hunting, I'll just sit there with the gun across my lap and have everything within reach right there, so I'm not moving as much. If I don't have to like stand up, turn around, unzip the bag, I keep it to where everything is reachable right there. And then I also, whatever I have with me, like I do have a headlamp that I usually keep with me just in case I need it.
yes.
But I usually, so like this year, I have the rangefinder sight in my bow. So I have that. I have the rangefinder that's in my bino harness, and I also have the headlamp. I usually try to keep an extra set of batteries because, like, I always swap out new batteries beginning of the season, but I always keep an extra pack with me just in case they go dead or whatever the case. I have them at the ready right there if I ever need them when I'm out in the field.
Now, with that rangefinder on your bow, does that add a lot more weight, or is it pretty?
Surprisingly enough, it actually really didn't offset it that much. It's obviously more weight than a typical, like, single pin, 5-pin sight, whatever it is that you use, but it wasn't that much that I really had to adjust how I shoot or how I anchor or anything like that.
Oh, nice. Okay. And then I don't think your pack will change too much from like tree stand to blind to a harness to a ground, right?
For me, not really. The only thing, like if I know that I'm not hunting in a ladder stand, I'll take the ratchet strap out of my bag just so that way it's just one less thing I have in there, and it's one less thing to make noise or clunk around or anything. If I'm most of the time when I'm in a blind, I'm going to be gun hunting. So I'll either leave the shooting arm, like the one that it's just a pole with a little U at the top of it. It just sits on the ground so I can use it as a gun rest. I'll either leave that in the blind or I'll have it in and out with me. 9 times out of 10, if we get a blind set up, we just leave the chair in there. So I don't have to, have that back and forth with me every time.
Right.
This year, there's a pretty good chance that I'm going to be hopping into either a saddle or a hang-on. So, obviously I'll be having that with me with whatever climbing sticks that I'll need. So that'll add a little bit more to what I have. But when it comes to like my everyday, this is what's always going out in the woods with me, I try to keep it as simple as I can. I never really got into the whole gimmicky, oh my God, this is the newest tool that's out there, the newest gear, whatever the case. A lot of people just buy it because they see some guy online, using it, or, Realtree TV or whatever it is. Like, oh, this is what the pros are using. That means I have to use it. I never got into that. I just look at things of, this works for me. I can get it for $100 cheaper at Walmart than I can online, or whatever the case is with that. And that's what I go with. I don't need to go out and spend thousands of dollars on things that aren't going to make sense and aren't going to work for me.
Okay. Not to change the subject, but I'm going to. You went out to the farm recently, right?
I was out there yesterday, and actually, while we were out there yesterday, we found 3 ladder stands that need new ratchet straps. So we took a stop. We took a stop at Home Depot on the way home.
There you go.
Did you see any activity, like any signs while you
Yes,
were?
We actually.
around?
So you guys. So the backfield where you go into back gate.
Yeah.
Straight off to the left, like along the road.
Yeah.
That's kind of like I would say it's probably about 25, 30-ish acres worth of where it drops down there a little bit behind that church.
Yeah, where your dad shot his deer, right? They're just like,
he shot one back there last year.
Yeah.
And so I got 3 more cameras, and now I have a total of 5 out. And when I was talking to my dad about where I wanted to put them and all that, I told him, I was like, I've never been back there. Out of 7 years of hunting that farm, I've never walked to that back corner, and I have no idea what's back there at all. So we went up there and we took the Kubota out because it was 95 degrees and I didn't feel like walking all day. So we just took it out. We parked, we took a walk down, and we actually found 3 pretty heavy trails that we didn't even know, like my dad didn't even know that they were there, even though he's hunted back in that corner. And they all come in and they meet at one little pinch point. And then there's one heavy trail that comes right out to the top of that backfield. So I got a camera set there, and it was pretty beaten down. Like, they're definitely using that pretty frequently.
Good.
So we're gonna start checking that out. One thing that we did notice is the farmer is now using a different type of spray on the fields. He just got done with planting everything with the corn, and they have a new spray now that has some kind of fish ingredient in it. I don't know exactly what it is. He doesn't even really know what it is, but he was talked to other farmers that use it and all that. And basically what we found so far, they sprayed this stuff last week. Not a single deer is in that field whatsoever. None of them are going in there, because a lot of times when they start to sprout up, they're only a couple inches high. They'll eat a couple of them. They are not going anywhere near that field at all. So
good thing for the farmer, bad thing for us.
Well, honestly, it's actually not that bad for me, because now I know that they're staying in the timber, and I can follow them a little bit easier because everything's pretty grown up and thick, so I can see the heavy trails where they're beating it down pretty good.
Right.
We actually found a coyote den. Come to find out, it's where, Nate, your deer last year that the coyotes got to, we found out that there was a total of 7 deer that were dead back there, and nobody can figure out why they were back there. They initially thought it was the neighbor that were dumping them there, but we went down that big cliff and we took a walk around down there, and we actually found that the coyotes are in the side of that cliff up there. So now I know where I'm going in January when coyote season opens up.
Yeah,
we're going to try to take some of them out. But yeah, I mean, we found a lot of good sign. Found another rub on that rub line that went across that ridge. We found another rub even beyond where I was looking before.
Good.
Already within not even a day and a half, I've already gotten some decent bucks that got some decent growth going on them already. So we should be pretty lined up for this year. I think we should be good.
Man, I sure hope so. I can't strike out twice. No bueno.
But getting back on the topic again, since every episode we seem to be veering off of topic.
These things happen.
Yeah, it does. But I mean, at least we're still keeping it on the hunting topic. But yeah, I mean, don't fall for the gimmicky stuff. You know, just because you're seeing someone online using it doesn't mean that you have to. One thing that I will say that I highly recommend for people to get is either a lot of people use a duster, but I would recommend more of a milkweed. You can actually buy like little packs of them online or at the store. And pretty soon here, I want to do an episode getting a little bit deeper into hunting the wind and all that kind of stuff. And that is going to really help you understand the wind, because the milkweed will actually float with the wind and you can actually watch the currents and kind of see how the wind current is going with the area that you're in with different terrains and stuff. So I would recommend getting some of that in your pack, even if you just have some in your pocket. I personally wouldn't recommend dust, because the dust is going to spread out a lot more and it's going to be harder to track it. The milkweed is just one solid piece that you can actually watch, and you can watch it for a good ways.
Huh.
So I would prefer milkweed over a dust bottle or something like that.
Could you also use, I mean, I guess with the noise and all that, but like crumbled up leaves and all that?
I mean, you can, but a lot of times, like even on windy days in the fall, you always see the leaves just kind of dropping straight down.
I got you.
The milkweed is so light that it's just wherever that wind current is going, it's going to carry it.
That's
and we'll get into that when we do the episode with, you know, getting deeper into that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's one thing that I would highly recommend. One thing that a lot of people don't do or anything, like I was saying before, is some type of first aid. Highly recommend having something on you. And actually, one thing that I just recently bought that's going to be going in my pack for this year is a solar charger for my phone.
Yep.
Okay.
It's one that I can charge at home, but if, you know, I plug my phone into it and it loses its charge, just aim it towards the sun and it can recharge itself. That's really great, especially if you're going out on your own and you don't have anyone else with you, or if you're going on a trip somewhere or whatever. So that way you still have your phone. You know, obviously you need service for your phone to work,
Right.
but you know, you still have, you know, it's not like I was telling these guys off record when I went out to do my ram hunt, my phone died because it was 10 degrees. I didn't think about it. I had it sitting on my bino harness, and within a half hour, my battery just drained because of how cold it was. I should have kept it in my pocket. That would have been a perfect situation for me to have one of those, so I could have charged my phone up, because God forbid something were to happen, I couldn't have reached anyone when I was out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I was hunting with other people, so probably wouldn't have been an issue, but it still would have been good for me to have one of those in my pack.
And also let people know the general area where you are going.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Now, obviously, you know, depending on where you're hunting, your pack is going to change. You know, if you're, you know, like, so we're Northeast Pennsylvania, New Jersey. If you're hunting in Texas, or if you're hunting, you know, elk out in Colorado or mule deer, whatever, your pack's going to change. But you also don't need to be carrying in 100 pounds of stuff with you all the time.
Right.
You know, especially if you're going to be doing those Western hunts where you're going to be doing a lot of walking, you got to think about what kind of terrain you're going to be walking. So, you know, if you're in, like, so me, I actually have two different sets of boots. I have one set of boots for early season and one for late season, because I don't want to wear the thick, heavy insulated boots during the early season when it's, you know, 90 to 100 degrees, and my feet are just going to be sitting there sweating the entire time. And then that's just going to create more scent that the deer can smell. You know, if you're going to be out west, you're going to be doing a lot of hiking, spot and stalks, anything like that. You want to wear a more comfortable shoe than you would if you're just walking, 50 to 100 yards to a stand and just sitting there all day.
Yeah, and one thing I did not mention is the stuff that is important: the socks, the lighters, the phone. Try to put it in a bag. So if you do get wet, if you do fall down in that creek or river or wherever you're at, and your stuff does get wet, you're not freezing to death because your lighter got wet and it doesn't work, or your phone is now dead because you fell in a creek or whatever. So try to, go to Walmart, buy a 50 pack of, gallon sized freezer bags and put your stuff in there. That saved my ass multiple times in the Army, just having the Ziploc baggies for when it's a torrential downpour,
right?
Or you fell and at the bare minimum, okay, my phone did not get wet.
Yeah, phone, wallet, whatever.
Yeah, phones, GoPros, that stuff is not cheap nowadays, right? And if I had to replace my phone, I'd be quite upset.
Yeah, now like Nate, like you were talking before, like when you're going up to Maine, or if you're out west in that big country, you're thousands of acres of public land you've never been to, anything like that. A really good thing for you to have, get like a compass.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Something like that. So that way, if you're up in Maine, you can find your way back if you have to. And one thing that I haven't personally done it, but I know plenty of people that they go out west every year to like Montana, Wyoming, stuff like that, and do all the public hunts out there. They'll find whatever, 2-3 areas that they're planning on going to, and they'll go to Staples, whatever, print out like a decent map with the topograph over top of it, like we can on Onyx. They'll print that out, and then they'll either laminate it and put it in their pack, or they'll put it in a Ziploc bag so that way it doesn't get ruined by weather. So that way, while they're scouting, or if they run into a situation, they have that with them. If they have to reach out to anyone to get rescued, or if they have to find their way out, like, hey, we've been walking all day, spotting this elk, and we're now, 6,000 yards away from where we were. We don't know how to get back. They can look at that map real quick with the compass and just kind of get themselves back to where they need to go.
Yes. Very good point. Yes. Carry, because, your phone is on a battery, right? And just like Brock said, if it's cold out or if it's too hot, the phone's, it has to be really freaking hot for your phone not to work, but still.
Even just sitting out in the sun, I've had mine overheat.
Yeah. Yep.
Just sitting in the sun
all the time.
Yeah, so just try to have pace, like a primary, alternate, contingency, and an emergency plan.
Yeah, and even there, like, we keep talking about the Hagedorn property that we went to. It was actually in the rules for that property that you had to have a map of that property with your license.
Yes, you did.
You had to print that out, and you had to take it with you,
every
time you step foot.
The map and the letter.
The permission letter.
The permission letter. Yep.
Oh,
so you have to. Yeah. So there very well could be states. I don't know, but there very well could be states that if you're hunting public land, they require you to have that. And even there, when it comes to Hagedorn, it wasn't really a big thing back when we were hunting that property, but now I don't know if they accept like Onyx, Hunt Stand, Spartan Forge. I don't know if they accept that as like their appropriate way of having the map of that property.
Right.
So that's things that you have to look into and you have to check out when you're doing it. And one of the biggest things that I can really suggest, if you are trying to get into out of state hunts, public land hunts, whatever, just go on. I actually saw a couple of them over this weekend. Like, hey, I've never hunted wide open prairie fields like they have out in, Montana or whatever. What kind of things do you guys take with you in your pack? And just kind of weed through it all and just see what makes sense and what's overkill. Just what do you think is, you know what you can handle, you know what you need to make yourself successful. Just because someone else is using it doesn't mean that means you have to use it.
Right.
You know, just kind of look through it, see what makes sense, and see what's going to work for you. And don't just, you know, if one person's on there, hey, you have to get this product. Well, that product might work and it might be what you need, but you might be able to find it for half the price somewhere else. You don't have to just go with that name brand product just because it's there. You know, there are certain things that the quality is going to overcome the price of it. You know, if you're looking at certain saddles or ladder stands or hang on stands, whatever, I would lean more towards the quality than I would the price of it, just because of safety concerns.
For sure.
You know, I don't want to go out there with some, you know, $5 to $15 hang on stand and fall out of the tree the first hour that I'm in the woods.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you definitely need to, pick and choose, quality over price and all that. But you could have the best stuff in the land if you don't take care of it. It don't matter.
You got to remember also, accidents happen, defects happen. You might buy $1,000 freaking tree stand, set it up, and something go wrong.
Yeah.
No matter what, accidents happen. So you got to be prepared.
And that's why, like Nate was saying before, one of the biggest things that we can stress is testing that stuff out and doing it off season.
Mm-hmm.
So that way you know your stuff. And then also, if you're using a saddle, like me this year, there's a good chance that I might be getting into a saddle or a hang on. I'm not going to just buy it and then go out opening day and use it. I'm going to go out at least once before the season starts and just, hey, how long does it take me to set this up?
Yeah.
Can I set this up in the dark? Do I know what I'm doing? Am I setting this up correctly? Am I using it correctly? You got to do all that kind of stuff. You got to make yourself proficient in what it is that you're using. So when you go out into the woods, you know what you're doing, you're comfortable with it, and you're not just going out on a whim. Because if it's going to take me an extra 20 minutes to get set up in the morning, well, okay, now I need to wake up earlier. I need to get out in the woods earlier. And I need to give myself that additional time to get set up and not be making so much noise that I'm clacking everything around in a rush because the sun's starting to come up over the hill.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely, I want to say trained, but I would, you have to know your equipment, know the ins and outs of it. So, because it is going to be dark it could be dark unless, you go out.
I mean, if you're doing an afternoon hunt, but you still need to know how to use the equipment and how it's going to set up. Like one of the biggest things that my dad did for me when I was a kid and I was starting to get into using climbers, we'd either wake up in the morning or he would wait until the sun went down in the afternoon and we would go out in the front yard and strap that thing to the telephone pole. That way I'm just getting used to setting it up in the dark. I'm getting used to how it works, how to climb with it, how to set everything right so it's not going to fall out of the tree, that kind of stuff. And that way, when I'm out in the woods with it, I'm like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I can set this up. It was like muscle memory and just scoot right up the tree and I was good to go.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I didn't even really think about a telephone pole, as long as you don't touch the wires, obviously.
Well, I mean, if I'm getting that high in a tree to go hunting, there's definitely something going on.
Yeah, but even the ground wire.
Yeah.
You never know. But all right.
Yeah, I think that covers everything.
We do have some more stuff coming up this week for the next episode, so that should be fun and interesting. A lot of information will be coming out of that we've all been wondering about.
Yeah, Brock, who's I don't want to mess this up. You just want to dip our toe in there and.
Well, so it's set for. So right now it's Sunday. It's set for this coming Friday, so it'll be out next Monday. It's it's a biologist from the New Jersey Department of Protection, Environmental Protection.
DEP.
But he is with the New Jersey Fish and Wildlife. and we're gonna have him come on and discuss CWD, EHD, dive into that kind of stuff and really just get some information and pick his brain on it. Working on getting a couple other interviews lined up and getting that going, so it's not just us or me rambling the entire time. But yeah, I mean, hopefully, throughout the summer we can start picking this up before we get into deer season and start to get some good people on here, some good information out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe. Make sure you hit all the socials linked down below. For our Spotify listeners, make sure you guys check out the YouTube if you want to actually see what our faces look like. Not that it's anything pretty, but you never know. Yeah, it doesn't take big bucks to kill big bucks.
Ew.
That's right.
We'll catch you all next week.